Welcome to our weekly discussion, Moral Side of the News. I'm Shawn Kaelin with the WHAS Crusade for Children. Joining me today, distinguished panel, Reverend Clay Calloway, West Louisville Ministers Coalition, Father John Stoltz, St. Aloysius Catholic Church, Reverend Harriett Akins-Banman, Centenary United Methodist Church, Reverend Dr. Kilen Gray, Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary, and Rabbi Emerita Gaylia Rooks with the Temple. It's been a week full of seeing dramatic images from our 2nd Street Bridge as our heroic Louisville firefighters were put in the spotlight across the nation.
It certainly was a team rescue effort today for sure, but the Louisville Fire Department had to put somebody in a harness and lower them right over the bridge to get the driver out. That young firefighter is 29-year-old Bryce Carden, a Louisvillian raised here, Butler High School graduate. He's the hero tonight, and here's Bryce in his own words how it went down.
Firefighter Carden, wave to the camera.
Surrounded by his tremendous rescue team of Louisville firefighters, no one had any idea that Bryce Carden had been standing there all along, listening to Chief Brian O'Neill describe the rescue.
How you feeling, buddy? Feel good.
WHAS 11's John Charlton asked that question, so Bryce walked over. Here he is in his own words.
This tops it so far. Like I said, we trained for this situation probably 100 times, but to actually put it in action, it felt good.
What'd she say when you got to her?
She was just praying. She was praying a lot, so and I prayed with her, so it was good. She was thanking, thank God. That's what she kept saying, thank God. And I told her, I said, just take a deep breath, and then here's what I need you to do, because I needed her to assist in, moving certain ways to be able to get the harness on right. And once we did that, we got her free of the seatbelt, and she was on my system, so I knew that we were good from there. We just needed to bring her on up. I had to trust the guys at the top side, which we have awesome captains and firefighters and sergeants who were assisting the rescue. Obviously, without the whole, it was a team effort. Without everybody doing their job, we wouldn't have been able to have a successful rescue. So at the moment, you don't really think about it. It's more so after the run when you go to debrief, it kind of hits you like, okay, that's pretty cool. It gets you amped.
And a quick story, we were at St. Augustine Catholic Fish Fry right up the street. We walked back in the building, and the whole building, even everyone in our staff, is glued to the TV watching this dramatic rescue take place at 12:30 a week ago Friday. So panel, I turn it over to you. We love firefighters around here.
Well, firefighters are my friends. I had a house fire, and we need to get a firefighter run for mayor, governor, president. They get my vote every single time. They are the true heroes in our public service arena, and this is evident of the courage that they display probably all the time. They never get much notoriety for it, so clearly it was the heroics and the preparedness of the firefighters, and of course Crusade is indebted to firefighters as well.
Absolutely. So that's what I was
so
going to say.
we are team firefighter here at Crusade, so it's a commendable effort that was displayed in that rescue there on the bridge.
A lot of things that happened, excuse me, that led up to that. You just don't know what will happen at any moment in time and in life. The poor lady whose car died on the bridge with an electric car, battery went down, and the car, that's what triggered the chain reaction.
Is that what it was?
To all the different things, and her car just died. And pickup started a chain, and then it was a chain reaction. The truck driver, to try to keep from impacting those that were on the bridge, diverted over to the side that led her to where the rig was, and the rig just hangs on by a thread. All of those things are actions of care, of doing as much as you can with what control you do have. Each and every one of those persons that's engaged in it. Good to know that everybody, for the most part, is well. I think one person that was engaged.
There's one person.
There's one person that is still in critical condition with life-threatening injuries, and our prayers are definitely lifted up for that person. But what a scene! My wife and I were coming from Jeffersonville on our way to Memphis to head for my mother's funeral, and we saw the truck dangling from the side of the bridge.
You actually saw it?
We actually saw the truck dangling while the rescue workers were working. I don't know if it had been over they had rescued the person or not, but the truck was still dangling off the side of the bridge while we were going south on 65 on the other bridge, looking at it from a distance. And it was a harrowing scene to see.
That could give you a heart attack just seeing that truck hanging there.
Indeed.
I didn't realize that your mom had passed.
Yes,
and
yes, she passed. Yeah,
our
thank you.
condolences.
Thank you.
Our condolences.
Thank you. But faith was evident and blaring within that entire story in the scene, with the prayer of faith expressed by the semi-driver and the first responder who came. And
Yeah, that was really nice. I don't know if other religions have this. In Judaism, there's a prayer that you say, it's called the Gomel prayer. It's thanking God for having narrowly escaped a life-threatening experience. And I had just benched Gomel for a friend of mine who got a wonderful, thank God, clean report about her breast cancer. And it's something that, it doesn't take something quite this dramatic for me to want to offer that prayer. But, you know, we're all about, oh, please God, you know, help me God, this and that. And I really try to also focus on the afterwards of the thank you God for being with me in this threatening, overwhelming crisis. Is there such a thing?
Yeah.
That kind of a prayer?
I mean, every day. I mean,
Every
thank you,
day,
Jesus, for
right.
waking me up this morning.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
start the day the way you start.
That's part of the
All
morning
prayers are
blessing.
that kind of prayer.
Right, that's part of the morning blessings in Judaism, but there is that special prayer that, you know,
I appreciated what you said, Kilen, about it was a chain reaction of care, because then we also see that go into action with those very trained firefighters. And so it becomes this whole community of care, doing
right.
what they do best and what they're prepared to do. And then there's that ripple effect out into the community itself, with people supporting the firefighters and giving that verbal thank yous, and just the community coming together when we need a good word, when so much other bad news is happening around us. And this tremendous, harrowing event turned out well, thanks be, out of so many caring and responding in care.
yes, yes, indeed.
And
Yeah, there's a lot of good to pay attention in this story, just from what all was said about them praying together and the training of the firefighter, that heroic action in the midst of a very tense situation, all of that, and it came out well. You know, something to give thank God to.
I'm going to have to modify. I have a little saying sometime when people ask me, "How you doing, man?" I say, "I'm hanging in there." I say, "Hanging is better than dangling." Now I'm going to have to modify that. So, hey, I'll take a dangle. That's all I got. I'll take a dangle by the grace of God, because that's evidence that even God's grace is at work, even if you're dangling off a bridge. Just a thread is all you need, and all He needs to do what He needs to do to save you. So I'll take a dangle any day now.
And I don't know if I read this or heard this, the firefighter saying that it didn't even occur to him how dangerous what he was doing, you know, that his training clicked in, and it's like muscle memory. You know, I've done this like 100 times, but and afterwards was when the adrenaline and the fear and the, you know, and I've had that experience of, you know, everything's fine. And when I was in college and had to take my little brother to the emergency room and and I drove him there, I drove him back, and I kept him calm, and everything was fine. The minute we got back in the house, I passed out. It was like, okay, I am no longer responsible here, everything is fine. But, you know, that's where the training comes in. You know, you don't have to think about it, you know what to do. And also, the truck driver gets a lot of credit, because he said that if she had been all freaked out, not that I would blame her, but that if she had been panicking, he said she was totally calm. I mean, scared, but she was able to listen, because he needed her help to, you know, how to hook on and this and that. And
Former
she was
military.
Yeah,
Right,
military, they
right,
could have
right,
helped.
Exactly,
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
so the fact that she was able to keep her wits about her enough to be partner in her own saving, and yeah, the kind of story we need right now is.
It's
Seth
amazing.
Meyers
It's
says.
amazing to me that the training piece for the firefighter and the training that was innate within the semi-driver being from a military, how the training just kicks in. That when danger's there, the fear doesn't come in. You don't focus on the fear, you don't focus on the danger, you focus on the job and what needs to be done. And they practice this over and over and over and over again. And to me, society is dangling. We're dangling from a significant, continuous hit of hatred and vilification of different human beings. And we need people who are trained with faith, with that, where the love training kicks in.
And we need that
And we see
caring, that, what did you call it?
is that
a thread of
the
caring?
thread of that continuous interaction of care. It happens whenever we see disasters, disasters that hit, whether it's weather disasters or other types of disasters. Deep within each human being, no matter what type of way a human being describes themselves, there's something that comes out that wants them to help someone who's in danger or in trouble. When people's homes are burned, or when temples are defaced by hatred and other types of things that happen, human beings come out in droves with this innate thing that I believe God put in all of us to be able to bring out some care for people. And we need that in our world right now. We need the training to kick in. We need that that love ethic that is in all of us need to kick in to help what I believe is a society, and particularly an American society, that's dangling. We're dangling in so many different ways.
To demythologize fear and its hostage holding of us.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's one thing our faith teaches us, is fear is a contradiction of faith. You can't have both in the same place at the same time, really.
Yeah.
And our training, what we do in our routine, our devotional lives, we're trained a lot, and our faith is tested in crisis. It's really in a crisis where your faith is actually revealed, where your training shows up, like the officer said. They'd done this about 100 times, never did it in a real situation, but he was trained to do that, and no doubt the driver who had been trained, she probably had some training as well.
Yes.
The military, they kicked in. So it just the training just takes over when your mind and emotions are not the best way to respond. So thank God for training. Thank God for those routines. You never know what you need until you need it.
That's right.
And to put yours
a
together.
A test is always the way that your faith is really revealed. Your care, that you claim you love God. Well, He puts you to a test by how you treat your neighbor, how you love one another. That's really the test, the acid test. So there's a lot revealed in this episode. Building bridges. We're the city of bridges, Louisville. It's a metaphor that we need to build bridges instead of building walls. So it's a lot you can take away from this. A lot of illustrations we can incorporate into our Sunday school lessons and sermons, I'm sure. But I think that the character piece is really the heart of what this is all. It made national news.
Right.
So
All week.
we're
Right.
glad that
Louisville's
message
been
went
in the
out.
news twice now for heroic stories because of the bus driver story that was last week or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, Valentine's Day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Amazing.
I was struck that God was brought into it so soon. Like his very first press conference, what do? Do you pray? And
Yeah.
he's like, yes, let's pray. I'll pray with you. I mean, it was like the first thing that he said after the incident happened. And then all the coincidences that happened as well. Like you referenced to Kaelin, the driver, but also the pocket knife that he found. Like he just randomly, like he didn't know she was tied up,
and didn't
caught
know the
up.
pocket knife was
Didn't
there.
know the pocket knife was there.
Yeah.
And randomly he needed to cut her out of the seatbelt. And they were going to have to take him back up and start all over again with a pocket knife. And he just looked down, and there was a pocket knife he picked up from LG&E several years ago. So anyway,
Right.
it's a great
We
story.
some call it coincidence. We call it providence. I
Holy
think.
Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, we so we'll take it.
Okay, topic number 2 for today. Fiery testimony in Frankfurt this week as Kentucky House Education Committee passed a resolution that would create a task force to monitor Jefferson County Public Schools.
Kentucky lawmakers have approved an oversight task force for JCPS, but not without hearing passionate opposition from JCPS Superintendent Marty Polio.
And so, once again, all I'm asking is that we focus on the facts, and more than anything, treat us just like your districts, every other district in the state right now. And if this is truly about student outcomes, then put in that bill that any district below a certain level of proficiency that is similar to JCPS will face the same investigation, task force, commission to find out about outcomes. But that won't happen because it's just about JCPS, and it continues to be. And I have to say, when I look at facts versus what I hear up here, I continue to be that this either is just an attack on JCPS or on the city of Louisville. And finally, I will say this to you, and I think this is the most important. You know, this is not about me as superintendent. We all know splitting up the district, I mean, we all know that's never happened in any city in America, deconsolidation. The challenges, and the commission will find this, that it is an impossibility to do. It is an absolute impossibility to do with just amazing inefficiencies that will happen.
The House resolution in Frankfort creates a task force to review districts with more than 75,000 students. Now, JCPS is the only district in our state that meets that qualification. Polio believes they're wasting time and not focusing on the real issues.
I am scared for the future of education in this Commonwealth, what it will be like 10 years from now. We need 95% of our time and effort focused on teacher vacancies, bus driver vacancies, and student attendance, or the crisis in education 10 years from now will be immense.
Sorry, a little technical difficulty there. Panel, I turn it over to you. An impassioned plea by Dr. Polio. And all eyes are on JCPS in Frankfort, it seems, and will be for a while.
All eyes and grubby little hands. I was trying to get on. So it's really about a lot of things, but
Yeah.
I happened to just had a casual conversation with Dr. Sewell earlier. It's the move is afoot, like Polio was saying. They're targeting JCPS, and it really comes down to the money. The money, the budget. See, JCPS has the second largest budget in the state of Kentucky, second only to the state budget. So there's a lot at stake here. There's a big prize here with the size of the budget connected to JCPS, and the proposal by the Republican representative in Louisville, who actually proposed this whole task force. It's about those who live in eastern parts of the city that don't want their tax dollars going to support the lower performing schools. And it's about destruction. There's no wisdom. There's no caring in mind. In the mind of the representatives in Frankfort, you have outsiders coming inside, going to try to take over and overrule the representation of Louisville. I mean, that doesn't even sound right on its face. So we have representatives in our school district that have been duly elected to represent the districts and look at and look after the interests of JCPS and students in JCPS. Then you have a person outside the district throughout the state going to make decisions to overrule their governance, overrule their representation. So it doesn't sound. I mean, it's just wrong on so many levels. You can argue covetous. You try to covet what doesn't belong to you, covet what is not in your area of responsibility to govern. So and I appreciate Polio's impassioned plea for JCPS because it's a dire situation, and it'll get worse before it gets better. And it happens to nobody else in the state except Louisville. You're the target. The criteria was designed specifically with the JCPS in mind. No one fits that criteria except JCPS.
Based on the numbers, yeah.
Well, these numbers are contrived. I mean, they're contrived numbers. This is a bill that is crafted specifically for JCPS. As you said, no other district, it will fit no other district. But let's make no mistake about this. This is a retrenchment to segregation. Let's just say it. This is exactly what this is. This is a retrenchment of persons trying to create a separate district to go back to district. If you're going to make the measurement about student performance, in particular metrics on student performance, it totally ignores the historical reason why the performance is there. that the reasons of those of academic achievement gaps among African Americans and predominant students in a school district is historically based and continues to be exacerbated by different racial dynamics within our state and within this city. This is a move to completely take us back to where we have just come from, and that is just, and however they frame it with whatever metrics that they use, the very metrics that they're using, if it's to go to its full fruition, we'll find West End, Smoketown, other types of districts in one district and East End districts in the other. And you cannot ignore the reality of what that would do within the district. Secondly, this is also a continuous journey over the years, having served in K-12 administration in Shelby County in years past, and knowing and seeing how the sentiments educationally around Louisville as opposed to the rest of the state. It's such an anti-Louisville piece of legislation. It is the most un-American and undemocratic legislation you could ever put together. But there's a host of those types of bills that are being forwarded right now within state government. I'm so upset about this. The state is moving in a way that completely disregards and disrespects the duly elected people who have, the people of Louisville and the people of Jefferson County have elected to manage their education. With all of the issues and all of the problems that is inherent with that, you've got a school board that is capable of managing this, the situation, of whatever the situation is of JCPS, and for state legislators who do not live in this community to make a law that impacts this is completely erroneous and unethical to me.
And not a law that helps in any way the students who possibly need it most. I mean, to me, when I first heard about this, it's like anti-democracy, anti-Louisville, anti-black people, anti-brown people, anti-immigrants.
Yes,
it's just
all of that.
It's just that thread of caring that you were talking about before. They need a lot of practice 100 times about caring about the least among you, or equality, or just, it's just, I can't believe that this will go through. But then again, there's a lot of things that have been happening in our fair country that I don't believe, so.
Yeah.
I appreciated Polio's prophetic voice and speaking against this injustice. And I think what saddens me most, I agree with all that has been said, and it is heartbreaking. But the saddest part for me are those who get caught without voice, which are the children and the students and the teachers that will be greatly affected, that are already working hard with not a lot of money and not a lot of support, and with all sorts of ups and downs, in this school year. And how do we as the community then make this better for them and make it better for this situation? Whereas if this is a voice of injustice happening among us, then where is the voice of justice in this situation? How do we push back?
Children don't have a voice, teachers don't have a voice, and I think parents don't have a voice either who live in Jefferson County. Catholic social teaching has a principle called subsidiarity, which means that problems of a community are best resolved by the locality. And here you have a group outside of that in the state, a much larger organization, attempting to look and call it a problem, but it sounds to me, by reading it and all of that, you don't see the motive. Attempts to guess at the motive, which could be correct, were stated here, but you don't see it there, which is concerning, I think. But you really want the school board, the parents, teachers working together to resolve issues. And every large organization is going to have challenges. And so there are challenges that happen large and small that happen with schools and that. And so, but the people to resolve them are the ones participating the most. That's what you want. Not, to me, some organization outside, which has such a limited view and it doesn't seem to me to work. And Dr. Polio's words too is that there are so many built-in, so many inefficiencies that could happen with the deconstruction of the district.
Yes.
I wonder practically how that will play into an ultimate decision or resolve that ever comes from this. And then a moral concern too that really does need to be voiced by us, the ministers, and that is that Jefferson County, as much as work has been done, remains very segregated. And this would only exacerbate that issue. That needs to be continuously spoken, because it does not do our community any good to exacerbate what's already a problem in the community.
No, I just recently went down. They had a reenactment, 6th anniversary of the March on Frankfurt that took place this past Tuesday. I was down there. And of course, 60 years ago, they had the historic march in Frankfurt. Kentucky was the first state below the Mason-Dixon line to pass civil rights, state-level civil rights legislation. So at that time, that was national news. That march took place on March 5th. And it made the New York Times March 6th. It was such a progressive piece of legislation that occurred here in Kentucky. And I've often said Kentucky is regressive and progressive at the same time. It's a kind of schizophrenic. You need to go to your wife's counseling service because they got some neurotic, psychotic things going on politically and historically in this state. We're progressive in a lot of respects. We're also regressive in a lot of other respects. And it seems like this move is a regressive move that will take you back, would take us all the way back to the days when things were separated and unequal, and it appears to be more of that. So I think that we need to show up. I think that we cannot just sit back and be a spectator. I think we need to show up like they showed up at that meeting, show up like we had the march in Frankfurt on Tuesday. You need to show up. Even if you got to show up by yourself, you need to show up. You can't just phone in or just look at it on TV. You have to show up and be fully engaged in the process, because they're going to steamroll and take it by force. And this task force is designed just to do that.
Very good discussion. I'm sure we'll be talking about it more in the weeks ahead, because it's not going away. I think it still comes before a full House vote in the coming days or weeks. Thank you very much to our panel today. I hope you can all get a nap today, Daylight Saving Spring Ahead Day. So get some rest. And if you're up joining us this morning, thank you for jumping ahead and springing ahead overnight. And it's an early morning for you. Special thanks to our guest on the panel today, Reverend Clay Calloway, West Louisville Ministers Coalition, Father John Stoltz, St. Aloysius Catholic Church, Reverend Harriett Akins-Banman, Centenary United Methodist Church, Reverend Dr. Kilen Gray, Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary, and Rabbi Emerita Gaylia Rooks with the Temple. If you'd like to catch this program, look us up on YouTube, Moral Side of the News, and have a great week. Thanks for joining us.